Welcome to the podcast from a St. Louis Sportist, an occasionally smart, always irreverent look at sports in St. Louis and beyond. And now, your St. Louis Sportists.
Hello and welcome to another podcast from the St. Louis Sportists. My name is Ron Cook, and I am joined by Joe Sperlin.
Hey, glad to be here.
Doug Lansdowne.
Making my return. Happy to be back. Been at large the last few weeks, so looking forward to a good evening. And
Keith Farrell and Tom Mathis are on assignment. I happen to know they're both in St. Charles County. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. In this edition, the Cardinals sweep the Indians, but ran into a steel curtain in Pittsburgh. The U.S. men's national team comes to the Gateway City. They're in action as we record this. July 1st means more conference movement in the NCAA, and St. Louis City's winless streak rolls on. The St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings. You can catch Jason and First Coast at 912-314-4848 or 1, that's the number 1, stcoaststeel.com. And we'll hear more from them later in the show. We're coming to you tonight from the Local House Bistros, our studio sponsor. Gentlemen, Saturday night, I was just hanging out at the bistro, and Mr. Farrell and his lovely wife comes in, and Keith ventures to the slot machines, and he just keeps coming back with cash. I didn't have to pay for my dinner Saturday night. It was the greatest thing ever. So now you can go to the bistro and cover your dinner with your winnings if you happen to have a lucky night. Or if you prefer, you can go into the main bar areas where you will find 6 screens featuring your St. Louis Cardinals as well as City. And you'll never miss a play at the bistro. Fantastic menu, steaks, fish, great selection of appetizers, as well as bar favorites, including burgers, pizzas. That's what I had on Saturday night. They have fantastic pizza. Lots of apps and a great group up there. Tim, Rob, Holly, Whitney, Darian, Cheyenne, Dylan, and Cooper. All at 16524 Manchester Road. Eat local, drink local, and love local. It's the Local House Bistro. Joe Sperlin, what do you have for a quick hit?
You know, social media was a buzz of a Packer quarterback who got married. And there was actual videos and people at it. But it was not the guy we were thinking of. Jordan Love got married.
Ah.
Yeah. Married a professional volleyball player he'd been dating for a while. One of the Packer linemen made a comment on social media. It was great to be invited to a quarterback's wedding.
Oh.
So
shots fired.
There was shots fired. So, yeah, if you hear about that, and make sure you have your right Packer quarterback, which one you're talking about. This one does exist.
You know, when you brought that up, I thought there had been a mud hut ceremony that I'd missed that perhaps I wasn't invited to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There was actual, on social media, it happened. If you saw it on social media, it had to be true, and it really happened.
That's what I've always heard.
Exactly.
Doug, what's up with you?
I've got a literary reference tonight. I decided last week that I would start digging some books out and reading different things I hadn't read in a while. And this is one of my favorites. I don't know if you've read it or not. Turning of the Tide. And I'd forgotten what a good book it was. I dug that back out and read it. Do you remember what it's about? Was it the Cunningham game? Yeah. Yeah, that's, Bear Bryant, it's behind the scenes. He had, brought USC to Alabama, and they whooped his butt with some black players and stuff. And so that was the only way he felt like he could integrate, the black players on his team and stuff and everything. So I know we'll have SEC media days here in a few more weeks and all that stuff. And so it is a little downtime, but it seems like SEC football always gets a run with us. And I was digging through my library and I saw that one. I thought, I haven't read that in a long time. And it's a really good book.
Sam Cunningham of the New England Patriots. At least that's what I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very good. And great story.
It's
by
a
the
yeah,
way,
it's a
all the way
really
around.
it's a really good read. It's not a hard read. It's really really well written. It's a good book.
For my quick hit, I'm going to stay in the Southeastern Conference. And I did a facepalm today when I read that LSU hopes, and I'm reading this from their release, that the NCAA will allow schools to sell patches on their jerseys. Something Deputy AD for Revenue Generation Clay Harris said also generates multiple millions of dollars a year. To make things even more terrifying, LSU has identified a partner which officials declined to name, if in fact the rules changes. And the Tigers have gone as far as to map out where the patches would go on every jersey, from cross country to football. Most of them would appear on the chest in purple and gold. Oh, what a relief. And then Clay Harris, the madman behind this, said, Clay Harris is about to join the list with Denny Hoskins and Rob Manfred. I'll tell you that right now. I have a list. He said, we don't have this as some crazy NASCAR-like situation. Which in itself is concerning, meaning he totally has it as a crazy NASCAR situation. Doug Lansdowne, I watched the St. Louis Cardinals today as much as I could bear to watch them.
So did I.
They go 0 for scoring runs in the city of Pittsburgh after sweeping the Indians. What's going on?
If you go for a few games before that, they split with the Cubs. So their last 10 games, they're 5-5. The next 10 games, they'll probably go 6-4. The next 10 games, they'll go 4-6. They are 500 or slightly better. It's just, like I said, they have a lot of pieces. Sometimes they go together, sometimes they don't. I know they're injured and stuff, but they are going to be riding through there, probably 4 or 5 games over 500, and I think that's where it's just going to be.
Yeah, right now exactly 47 and 41. Ironically, Joe, they were 6 games over 500 last week when we talked. And they're 4.5 games behind Chicago. Guess what? They were 4.5 games behind Chicago last week. It's remember the old talking heads, we're on a road to nowhere.
I think it was amazing what you said about a 3-game series getting shut out all 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I even thought that same thing. How often does that happen?
There are so many stats about that, and I started to put a few in, and I just didn't want to bury everyone, so I'll give my old thing. If you'd like to find out more about this, just run a good Google search. For the Cardinals, the last 2 times that it happened, it was on the last weekend of the season. So basically the golf clubs had already been, packed, and that's when you expect to have it happen, quite honestly, especially in a year you're not going to the playoffs. So Contreras, Arenado, Herrera did not play today. Contreras took a pitch last night inside, looked very bad, but he's day-to-day. Then again, aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Arenado has a finger issue, and Herrera has, whenever they start talking a grade over a hamstring injury, that's when I get concerned, and that's what he has. Yeah. So, Doug, this was their 15th game in 14 days. How much of a break do you give them for that?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how, they get the day off tomorrow, of course, and then we'll see how Friday, Saturday, Sunday goes. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they win 2 out of 3. I stay surprised, good and bad. I don't know.
I think we all do. Line I heard from someone up here is, of the 5 Cardinal starters, 3 of them are box of chocolate starters. So when Sonny's out there, you got a good shot. When Libertor's out there, you got a good shot. Palante, Fetty, and Mikolas, that's probably, I would rather put money on, I would rather see Keith play the slots. I think there's a better chance of success there. So Jordan Walker, injury, obviously, at first they said it was his appendix, and then they said, no, we're not going to take the appendix out. Doug, this almost clears a way where you could send him to Memphis on a rehab assignment for a while.
He's in Springfield tonight.
There you go.
Yep, he's starting in right field in Springfield tonight. So, yeah, they may be weaving their way where he stays down there for, 10 to 12 days.
I think it's 10 to 12 days.
Let's Burleson play right field another 10 to 12 days. And so
Burleson has surprised me this year.
Oh, he's been really good. Yep. He's been really good. And, he went, that like late April, early May, even to the middle of May, he didn't play much. I mean, he had lots of days where he didn't play. So, credit to him to keep himself ready and keep going. And, and I know, we've got Hampson and Fermin, but I still would rather them call up one of those young guys and give them 8 or 10 to 12 at bats.
Yeah, I was banging the drum for
rather than the guy that's been designated for assignment twice
in 1 year. I was banging the drum for Sajasi, and he comes up and he is like 0 for his last 14 or 15 right now. So,
and he swings at a lot of pitches.
Man, he does. He wants to put the ball into play.
He swings at a lot of pitches.
Has Nolan Gorman won you over yet?
Yes. Yep.
Whatever he's done, he's finally found it somehow.
Found it, confidence is fleeting, but, it goes back to one of those deals. He has got to play. And once he's been out there, I mean, he's played, it doesn't matter if he's DH'd or played second or third or whatever. I've been surprised. I didn't think Liberatore would be as good as he's been, but back before the season started, Keith was banging the drum. He's got to start. He's got to be in there. And Keith was dead on. I mean, he's been really, really good.
Yeah. I know. It's one of those, where would they be without him?
Yeah. And Pahis is a really good catcher.
Yeah. And obviously Sonny made a point of quite a game by Sonny. My gosh, one hit, a Maddox. He threw a Maddox on Friday night. Yep. Under 100 pitch shutout and struck out 11. Now that's kind of hard to do. So as you mentioned, 3-game set coming up with the Cubs. And we have the awe-inspiring and confidence-inspiring Miles Mikolas taking the hill for a day game on Friday in Chicago. I don't know what the over is. But
what's the over-under? He'll walk off the back of the mound and rub his hand through his hair.
That will happen. I'm
going to go 4.
I'm going to just guess that there will be some hits from that Cub lineup in that park that are not soft contact. Just going to guess that. MLB correspondent at large, Joe Sperlin, what's going on around the league?
Well, I've got to tell you, let's mark that down. Another injury that we can add to our list, a chronic appendix injury that will last, 10 to 12 days. Sent to St. Louis with to Springfield for a chronic appendix surgery.
We're taking it out. No, leaving it in.
Against Pittsburgh, against Skeens, they did what they had to do. Cardinals had a chance to get him again and lost 1-0. But, hey, the Pirates are hot. The Brewers are hot. And every time someone mentions the Cubs, it says who are looking for top-rated pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was their GM or someone said, we are getting a top pitcher in here. So,
yeah, their rotation is a mess, right? And Pete Crow Armstrong is coming back to earth a little bit.
Well, he had to a little bit. I mean, his numbers don't match up with what he was doing, and his swing and miss rate and some of the stuff he does. So
they said that against the Cardinals, the theory the Cardinals used that ended up working was not to throw him a pitch in the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
Because much like Thomas Sajasi, he will swing at it.
Yes.
Ron, speaking of pitching, I think I texted you Sunday night when Detroit was on. Tariq Skubal. Oh, my Lord. Hey, here comes 100 miles an hour, and then let's throw you a 90-mile-an-hour changeup, and good luck trying to hit it.
I've already seen people like clamoring for a Skeens Skubal all-star game, and granted they'll pitch one inning, but still, it's hard to say that they're not the two best pitchers in the league.
Yeah, but that Sunday night deal, it was unbelievable. And then you take him out after 7 innings, and he was still throwing at 100. But it was, as we're getting ready to talk about here later, hey, if you made it 7 innings, that there you go. You've done your job. We got these other guys. So
with that, it's time for us to tie up some loose ends. The U.S. men's national team is currently playing soccer right now, 18 miles from about where I'm sitting. They had a game against Costa Rica on Sunday, and gentlemen, there were fights. It was won on penalty kicks. It was one of those. Games for the ages. If they win tonight, they will play for the CONCACAF Gold Cup Championship. This is kind of the last big measuring stick before the World Cup next year. And we got a breakaway, and we don't score. Bah. So, but Doug, as you were saying, it's good to see the stadium look good on TV.
I switched it over there as well, too, and I've been watching it on and off, and I agree that the stadium does look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Not been there, but boy, it is nice.
Yeah, they did it right. Kudos to the Enterprise family and Carolyn Kendall Betts, who runs that team. Clayton Kershaw is closing in on 3,000 strikeouts. Is he going to be the last person we see get 3,000 strikeouts for a while, Joe Sperlin?
Yes. Because as we were saying, how many guys do complete games anymore? Or when they are rolling, they pull them anyways. They're ahead. And, my math says that's 15 years of 200 strikeouts. I don't see that happening anymore. Hey, I don't need to play 15 years anymore. I can just take my money and run.
Exactly. Doug, anyone you think maybe? Skeens was older when he got in the league, so he'd have to be pretty durable.
Well, I think it's the two guys we've talked about. I think it's Skubal and Skeens. Like we talked about a few months ago, though. I mean, does anybody ever get 200 wins again? That's so that goes up there with your question about the strikeouts. Do they ever get 200 wins? Do they get 3,000 strikeouts? I don't think so, because they don't pitch enough.
No. And my wife, the data engineer, was trying to come up with a new stat last night having to do with wins, and I said, people don't care about wins anymore. I blame Brian Kenny for this a lot. He has that show on MLB Network, and if you don't disagree with him, you're an idiot. Or don't agree with him, you're an idiot. But he's one of the big guys saying that wins don't matter. I don't know. I think if you're a starting pitcher and you end up getting a lot of wins, that seems to be pretty good.
That helps your team, yes.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, I don't think you can call a quality start if you only pitch 5 innings.
No.
I mean, that's half the game. It's like saying at halftime, well, I did my job. We were ahead. I'm done.
How many Super Bowl championships would the Bills have? If that were, right.
I did my job. I'm not going back out there. Let someone else finish it.
And just to close out on starting pitching, I was talking to our old buddy Bob Hobb, who's driving around. Clearly did not help things in Pittsburgh.
We jinxed it.
We did. And we were talking about the year Gibson had in '68 when he completed all but 5 games, and in the 5 games that he did not complete, they pinch hit for him.
Yeah.
Meaning at no point did Red Shandings ever walk out and take the ball from Bob Gibson.
And I would be willing to bet he was a better hitter than the 5 guys that pinch hit for him.
I think there's a pretty good chance of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you like to have been the guy that, hey, go tell Gibson you're pinch hitting for him? No, you do it.
That's when Red sends the pitching coach out. Hey, why don't you go take Gibson out and tell the other guy? Okay. Anyway. Speaking of baseball legends, we lost one this week. The Cobra, Dave Parker, someone that we grew up I say grew up being amazed by the things that he did, Joe Sperlin.
I mean, exactly. The throw for a guy that big. And now you hear more stories in the past week of, how much of an athlete he was and in his younger days and how fast he was and all that. The famous 79 All-Star game when he threw out the guy. But then I had forgotten when he misplayed the ball by Jim Rice, and Rice tried to stretch it out in a triple, and he made almost the exact same throw.
It's a third. Gunned him at third.
You heard the crowd go, "Oh," as the happened. And I had forgotten all about that till I saw it this week.
I was showing it to one of our buddies up at the bistro, and I said, "Oh, by the way, the pitcher, Bruce Sutter, Hall of Famer. The catcher, the tagged out Brian Downing, Gary Carter, Hall of Famer. Dave Parker, Hall of Famer."
Yeah,
that's when your All-Star games, Doug, were worth watching.
Can I tell our Dave Parker story?
I was thinking about, was I going to bring it up, but go ahead. Yes.
So myself and Joe and Scott Fleetwood, we go to a Cardinal game, and it's when he's with the Reds. And of course we get out into right field, pretty good seats. And we go down and we sit with the usher and everything like that. And we get set down and Joe sits down. He goes, "Dave Parker is going to hit it right here." And he said he's going to hit it, and the usher's like, "Oh, no, he ain't hitting it here. No chance. Well, then he ushers up these girls and their family, and they're Cincinnati Reds fans. And they're sitting like 2 rows in front of us. And one of the girls, she goes like, "Oh, can they hit it this far?" And the usher goes, "Dave Parker going to be hitting you a ball right here." And it was about 15 minutes apart, and we laughed for hours. We still, that Dave Parker story.
That is correct. I was sitting there thinking about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he could, especially when we were watching some of those highlights. You forget he was one of those average and power guys too.
He was a big dude. Big
guy. Dude.
Yeah.
How many people come out with a sledgehammer warming up on the on-deck circle? You don't see that very often. What do they come out with? All these elastic rubber bands, and they sit here and stretch and do all this stuff. And Dave Parker just walks out with a sledgehammer. I'll just warm up with this.
Yeah. And the greatest little-known fact, if you're ever playing the grid, Dave Parker did have an inning or two at second base. So just remember that for your immaculate grid. That'll, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And our final loose end of the night, Doug, a couple of weeks away for the Open Championship. You told me a couple of weeks ago where they were playing, and I've already forgotten because it's a course I wasn't really familiar with.
Royal Port Rush. They played there, I think, in 2018 or 19, and Shane Lowry lapped the field. So, but this is Shane Lowry and Rory's home course. They grew up just right down the road from there. So it'll be hard for Lowry to slam his club in the fairway or the green or make an ass of himself like he's done at the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open. So,
both of them have their moments. I mean, if you're going to pick two guys, but both of them are pretty entertaining just to kind of follow around. So with that, we have tied up our loose ends, and we have come to the halfway point of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. We're going to hear from Sandra, who's going to tell us a little bit about First Coast Steel Buildings. And when we come back, we're going to look at the college mayhem because 7-1, July 1st, that's kind of the start of the new college football season. And oh my, we have news already. A little bit about the St. Louis Blues, and then, we have to talk about City. So all that when we come back.
Are you in the market for a barn dominium, house, garage, man cave, carport, or hobby shop? Wondering how to get started or where to go? Whatever you are looking to design, look no further than First Coast Steel Buildings. Give Jason and his team a call at 912-314-4848. They will guide you through the process, designing your building to fit your specific needs and budget. Call them today at 912-314-4848 or get inspirational ideas and start designing your own by visiting them at firstcoaststeel.com. Again, that's the number 1, stcoaststeel.com. Their low-cost buildings are fully galvanized steel, providing you with worry-free, low-maintenance requirements, integrity, quality, and a family-first approach. First Coast Steel Buildings, 912-314-4848 or firstcoaststeel.com. Discounts for military and first responders.
And we are back on the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. We are here in the Local House Bistro studio with Joe Sperlin and Doug Lansdowne. I am Ron Cook, and Joe, we've talked last week about all of the things that come down on July 1st. Hey, new conferences everywhere.
Hey, the big one for us, the Missouri State Conference USA, them in Delaware. I remember hearing rumors in the past couple of years, Missouri State's going to the Sun Belt. Missouri State's going to Conference USA. Never imagined that it would work out. But, hey, if you go by the campuses, they got the signs up. They've got everything ready to go. New turf, the Conference USA signs everywhere. So
It's all over local media, too. Local television, they're showing it.
Yeah. It was not July 1. It was going probably about 2 months ago. So
I guarantee you there was a communications plan that involved a spreadsheet with many tabs.
Yeah. So
I will say about Missouri State, when I joined, when I started school in '86, they were members of the AMQ8. Yeah, the conference that sounded like a motor oil. The Association of Mid-Continent Universities. Why that never stuck, I'll have no idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is, Joe, you're right. This is a gigantic step. It's one I didn't see coming. I never thought in my lifetime I'd see Division I football. I thought that was a pipe dream.
Did you ever think that they would go to USC?
For the first game of the year. Yeah.
And then week 4, SMU, who will be ranked probably top 10, coming to Springfield.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about, too, though, I mean, overall, won't their schedule be easier?
Oh, I think so.
I think so, too.
I mean, my gosh, some of the schedules they've played and some of those teams they've played and stuff. I don't know if the travel catches up with you. But I know it's still a Division I athlete, but I mean, especially basketball. Well, basketball and football both. It's got to be easier.
Yeah. Now, you guys will have a better handle on this than me. I have been shocked, bordering on terrified, when I see the crowds at basketball games the past few years. There's been articles in the News Leader about 1,800 people showing up. And when I was down there, the place was sold out. Tickets were hard to come by. And it's just like kind of night and day. Do you think they get that back in either sport?
If they win in basketball, they will. I mean, I don't think people are going to come and watch Florida International and Kennesaw State come to Springfield. But if they keep winning, as compared to the people in the Valley, but if they win, they'll start getting people. Winning does a lot of things. So,
yeah, I'll be really interested to see how the football attendance holds up because, let's face it, there's people from Springfield and Southwest Missouri that drive to Columbia when Mizzou is playing one of their 9 or 10 home games this year. Yeah.
Hey, one of those other teams, UMass, going to the MAC. That's a Mizzou opponent there in September. So that's one right there in the middle that if you're not careful. Last year it was kind of close there for a while. Mizzou just wasn't real focused there in the middle of the SEC schedule. So, I worry about what'll happen when they get in that October. Conference USA plays on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. of how many people are going to go. I can't even remember. I almost want to say it's Western Kentucky. It's probably one of the better teams.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think coming to Springfield on a Wednesday night there in the 1st of October, I just don't know how well that'll be. But
I don't think they'll be like we talked about. I worry about the crowd. But then again, I look at it, and I could be wrong, but, it's middle October, and there's not much on a Tuesday and Wednesday night. And if they're playing Delaware on CBS Sports Network,
yep.
I think a lot of people will watch that. Now, will they be?
And they do that. That's how those guys, it's almost like Conference USA has October and the MAC has November. And, they're on CBS Network and the MAC's on ESPN on Tuesday and Wednesday nights in November. As soon as baseball season's over and they start the playoffs, they're on there. And people, hey, I'll watch the Tuesday night game, Wednesday night game. Doesn't matter who's on.
Right.
I mean, I'm the one too sitting there watching that. Another conference we forgot to add was the addition of Texas State to the Pac. I can't.
State.
I mean, you just can't call it Pac-12. I mean, you're just like I'd almost rather say joining the Pac Mountain West State Conference.
There's no ocean in Texas on the western side that I'm aware of.
Ron, Texas State is in San Marcos. Do I have that right? San Marcos?
I think so, yes. Yes.
Is, I think, 40 miles from Austin.
There you go.
And
So you just got to remember, Dennis Francione ushered them into the D1 era.
That's right.
Well, and as someone pointed out now with SMU in the ACC, never have the two oceans been closer. The Pacific and the ACC,
exactly.
Right, meeting right there in the middle of Texas.
Hey,
so.
and the other thing is they have a 5-year TV contract with CBS, Pac-12 for football and basketball. And don't forget, in basketball, you've got the Zags. Gonzaga is in there. So, I mean, there's kind of someone that's you put them on TV and people are going to watch that.
People are going to
watch Fresno State versus Utah State.
Not in basketball, but on Friday nights, people are going to stay up and watch those games when it's 52-45.
Yeah.
And somebody threw for 511 yards and 6 touchdowns, because that's how it's going to be.
It's not the old days of Pac after dark, but it'll be close.
No, some of them will be very excited to go play at Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
So, and then closer to home here at Webster Groves, Scotty Adkinson, very smooth-looking playmaker / he reminded me a little bit of almost some Scottie Pippen kind of moves in the highlights I've seen. Goes to Mizzou. Another nice get for the Mizzou basketball program.
Yeah, I have not seen him play, but I mean, it was like all I saw was what a huge get for Mizzou.
Yeah, so, I actually looked it up a while ago in our break there, and it was it's big. But there's typically always a handful of kids from Webster Groves playing D1.
Yep,
That's
that contribute.
True.
Yeah,
Webster, Kirkwood, and then when you get, of course, into DeSmet, Chaminade, etc. It's funny, Joe. You and I were talking last week about Mizzou playing Notre Dame in basketball, and that we actually got into a Mark Dressler conversation. Doug, remember when he could not miss the free throws against Notre Dame? 81, 82 off the top
82.
of my head. Yeah.
82, 83. Yep.
Mizzou shocks Notre Dame. So, and then finally, so we've got more on this 5th year of eligibility. This is one that I haven't been following, Doug.
Well, 2 of the guys, which Josh Gray was one of them, just leaving MU, and the Zyke Ziegler, I can't say his name, from Tennessee, they both have dropped their suits. So I just thought it was interesting because, we talk about transfer portal and all that, but at least maybe they've kind of drawn a line in the sand where, you can't keep getting another year. The JUCO thing backfired on them last year, of course. So, maybe we've got one more year and then we'll have some semblance of order restored. Probably not, but at least at least they can't keep looking for, a fifth and sixth year.
And then the final college thing we have, I'll just throw out that the LSU Coastal Carolina game on Sunday, where they clinched the national championship, drew 2.5 million viewers. May not sound like much, folks, but that is the most watched college baseball game of all time. You guys think college baseball is getting a little tailwind here, or was it just a really hot day and people didn't want to go outside?
Was that when the first pitch started? Did they watch the entire game? After the first inning, did they turn it off after they all got ejected?
It's what we marketing folks like to call total viewers. So that means you had it on for some period of time.
I think they do a great job marketing it. It's the right time frame of the season or the summer schedule and stuff, and ESPN's good. And you're right, it was really hot and there wasn't much else on, and so.
Yeah, don't ever overlook that, because the famous AFL overtime game between the Texans and the Oilers, when Abner Hayes made his famous mistake saying, "We'll kick to the clock," and the official had to take "we'll kick," meaning that they won the toss and chose to kick. And then Houston promptly took the wind, too. So Houston got the wind and the ball. That game happened on a day where a massive snowstorm hit the East Coast, and it literally was the only thing on. So they said that that snowstorm played a gigantic role in the fact that the AFL actually continued to go on. Very quickly, the St. Louis Blues, Jordan Kyrou, Joe, who we have talked about multiple times. He, like those air bases in war games when the missiles were fired, is still here. The deadline for his no trade clause came and went, and he is still here. The Blues did trade Zach Bolduc, who is going to be a scary good talent, for Ryan Malo, a 22-year-old right-handed defenseman, big dude, 6'2", 200 pounds, and a lot of potential, little baggage in the past. And again, if you're interested in that, we invite you to look that one up on your own. Today, they signed a free agent center, Pius Suter from Vancouver. He's 29, coming off of the best season of his career, 25 goals, 46 points. So solid signing, and that happened like late this afternoon.
What's his last name?
His last name is Suter.
Well, yeah,
Suter.
He's got to be good.
There you go. There you go. And then finally, sad news, Alex Pietrangelo, the first Blue to ever hoist the Stanley Cup, the captain of the 2019 championship team, stepping back from hockey, a very serious hip injury. He's played 1,087 regular season games, 149 in the playoffs. He's 35, and he's going to take a year off and hopefully come back. But, odds are against, if he hangs it up right now, I think he's probably a Hall of Famer. Just a really great career for him. St. Louis City loses again. There, I've covered City. I don't think we need to go into that. No, they get Chris Durkin back this week. They lost 1-0. Joe, I will say this, because I know you love the metrics. The expected goals in this last game that they lost 1-0, 0.31.
Yep.
0.31.
Yep.
So that was all that their play said, that they shouldn't have even scored a goal. So see, expected goals work. They play Utah.
Not that we do this. And I may have said this before, but I heard a comedian one time say, if you wonder why soccer is not popular in the United States, Americans love to gamble, and it's hard to gamble on an event where the over and under is 1.
This is true.
Sorry, Ron, I had that in there. I think I may have said that before, but
actually, you haven't, and I really like it. In fact, I'm probably going to steal it. There's 4 minutes of stoppage time.
Is that the Utah soccer team? The Utah soccer team? Is that what they're called?
I forget what they are, but ironically, the guy that scored the 2 goals for the U.S. tonight plays for them. So, yeah, we're in stoppage time here. So we've got about 3 minutes to go in this game, and the USA has a 1-goal lead. So frantic moments for Guatemala, things I never thought I would say on the Sportists Podcast. But there you go. With that, it is time for The Last Call, brought to you by the local house bistro. Joe Sperlin, what do you have?
As we've talked about the past couple of weeks, this is kind of a time during the year that there's not a whole lot going on. So get studied up for your college football win totals.
Ooh,
so
yes.
Here are 4 teams of local interest here. Arkansas, 5.5. They have a pretty tough schedule.
I would say their non-conference will probably play a large role in that.
Yes. Yeah, this could be the end for my good friend down there. LSU, Ron, 8.5.
Over.
Yeah. Missouri State, 4.5. Could you imagine Missouri State going to where at the end where it's, my God, if we win another game, we're going to be at the Bahamas, which is not in the Bahamas.
If Missouri State goes to a bowl this year,
be careful. Don't say anything that's going to be recorded and used against you, sir.
I need to think about this one for a while.
Okay. Just don't say anything that you're going to regret later, and we're going to have to pull this video back out.
Yeah.
And you're the two Tigers, 7.5. Ugh.
Joe Sperlin, did you happen to see The Athletic came out with their top 25 players in the SEC today?
I did not. I did not see that.
Number 1 was your quarterback from South Carolina, who I think Mizzou knows all about.
What are they rating these on? Number 1, what? Athletes, potential underachievers, overachievers. When you say the quarterback from South Carolina, I'm like, and what are we ranking this guy? Because he's number 1 in a lot of categories. So
yeah, Arch Manning was number 16, in case you're wondering. So we'll have to let Jason know about that.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me, going back to your Mizzou win total there, their highest rated player came in at like 32, and he was an offensive guard. So,
yeah, he is probably. I think I saw like he's a second team preseason All-American I've seen before.
But I think if that's your highest rated individual, I mean, yes, he's a very talented player.
I'm getting ready to say
your offensive guard, your highest rated. Yeah,
you may have a hard time scoring. So
yeah, the skill positions might be.
I will have another little part where I can. When we get closer to that day of legalized gambling in Missouri, or online wagering, I guess we could say it is, of giving some prop bets for the fall. The prop bets, season win totals,
We've got to think about how we're going to do our football previews here. Are we going to have like one giant football-only NFL college extravaganza, or are we going to like just break that up over a couple of weeks? Because I saw the Phil Steele book is out already.
Oh yeah, it's right over here on my dresser. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the book I've been reading.
Gotcha.
Hey, we got to talk to the producers. I'm still, Doug. I got approved to go to the SEC football conference next week. Company paying for it, so we'll see.
And by the way, USA 2-1 over Guatemala, right here at in downtown St. Louis. Doug, what do you have?
I always like to give shout outs to guys who I don't think get enough credit. 2 guys tonight, little NBA stuff. I know we don't do much NBA. Chris Paul was one of only 6 players that played in all 82 games last year. And he's 40. He's 40. He played in all 80. So one of 6 NBA players playing all 82 games. So, and how about somebody giving AJ Hinch a little credit? Tigers, best record in baseball. When he was with the Astros, I mean, you can say they cheated, whatever. They shocked each other and beat on trash cans or whatever. But, they still won over 100 games 3 years in a row. So, I think he should get more accolades for the job he does as a professional baseball manager.
Absolutely. And, I had a game on last Saturday, and they're fun to watch. They've just got a good lineup.
They're fun to watch.
Fun baseball team to watch. If you haven't seen Joe Sperlin's Detroit, I'm waiting for Spur to pull out like a tiger hat in the middle of one of these. One of these. So mine goes to I'll call it football, and I think this is going to get some people to roll their eyes. But guess what? It's eye rolling season, folks. Mr. Travis Kelce has hinted that Taylor will be in attendance at, and I quote, and when I say Taylor, that's Taylor Swift for the uninitiated. Taylor will be in attendance at many of his games this year. And during an appearance on Bussin' with the Boys podcast yesterday, Travis said of his girlfriend, she tried to get to as many as she could last year, and she came a lot. So, yeah, we're going to have Tay. We're having fun with it, man. Just being a couple. So, if you thought you reached peak Taylor exposure during the Super Bowl when the booze rained down, think again. Get ready for season 3.
With the camp at Mo Western up there in St. Joe, my people that I would talk to up there, they said they always had that fear that there would be a rumor that Taylor was coming to a practice and they would get stampeded by people trying to come to practice. And the Mo Western people had that fear of a rumor that she was coming to practice. So that possibility is still out there.
It takes me back to the time in The Simpsons when they were working at a peanut factory and an elephant had gotten loose and was coming toward it. And the guy says, well, I knew this day would come. Many of you warned me laughed at me when I had drills. But that's about what it would feel like, wouldn't it? You just look up and you'd see like 8,000 teenage and adolescent girls just, Yeah, that would be terrifying. So on that note, that brings to a close another episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. Next week, I am going to have a guest that I will spring upon you. And all I will say is if you have been watching local sports in St. Louis, and heck, even if you haven't, it's a name, it's someone we're very excited to talk to. And I was telling Joe and Doug about some of his life experiences, and my goodness gracious, what an interesting guy. I think we're in for some fun next week. So we'll be back with a regular show in 2 weeks, and in either 2 to 3 weeks, either 2 weeks or the week after, our buddy Khaled Abdallah is going to join us from Sacramento to give us an update on what is going on with the Athletics.
Will he be in that tool shed?
That would be even better. From was it Home Depot? $800, right?
Yeah.
I'll have to quiz him to see if he could sneak in for the hit. That would be good. Joe Sperlin, thank you, sir.
Hey, another episode of AVA, and I enjoyed it. Great time.
Indeed. Doug Lansdowne, a word to the wise is sufficient.
That's our symbol.
It is indeed. And we want to thank all of you for joining us for yet another episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. We're on YouTube. This week we're on Instagram now. If you want to see some of our greatest hits, we're everywhere. If there's social media, just search STL Sportists and you may find us. So, thank you for listening, and as always, take care.
And that wraps another episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. You can find these guys on all major podcast platforms. And thanks for listening.